Greetings duplicants and welcome to The Breach. At the end of the last episode I showed that we'd be doing the industrial brick today. Building an industrial brick is not technically difficult. It can pose a few difficulties due to the fact that you normally build it before you have a dearth of materials to build with. Once you start the industrial brick process you'll need to be aware that your power requirements will jump quite significantly. But for now we'll just concentrate on building the brick itself. Even though I vacuumed the area out, I don't plan on running this area in a vacuum. If I was to try to do that, I'd have to upgrade my cooling process significantly. The reason I did vacuum this area out was to get rid of the chlorine and the carbon dioxide. Both these gases aren't very good transfer mediums for heat, so I'm going to oxygenate the room once I'm ready. This brick will be a permanent structure. Therefore I want to make it out of the best materials I can, but I don't have a lot of good materials, so I'm going to be very efficient. Areas that I will only be able to access once when the build process is in operation, I will build out of the refined metal. Areas that are easy to access I'll just build out of the ores so I can upgrade them once I've refined the metals. While building the industrial brick I did come across a problem that I wasn't used to, was I'd run out of igneous rocks, which also meant I wasn't feeding my stone hatches either, but I got some igneous rock shipped in from the other asteroid. But I did end up building quite a few of the fixtures with granite instead of igneous rock. The industrial brick's power spine was made out of refined metal. I believe it's all made out of lead initially. I can see myself eventually wanting to build a nuclear reactor, so I'm going to need the extra wattage on the cables. With the location of this build I won't be able to access the power spine easily, so I decided to build it out of the best stuff straight away and add in some future proofing. So all the areas highlighted in blue is built with heavy watt conductive wire. All the joint plates are the conductive type as well. I'm trying to keep this system as isolated as possible because I will be temperature controlling this area and I don't want any leakages in or out. Hence why the conductive plates are vacuum sealed. Due to digging out the slime biomes, I do have a huge quantity of clay that I have been turning into ceramic for the last 400 cycles. The metal refineries and the pipes leading in and out are all made out of ceramic. The aquatuner and all the steam generators will all be made out of steel. All of the pipework in the steam room will be made out of copper. The cooling pipe behind the steam generators will also be made out of copper. Each metal refinery will draw 1.2 kilowatts of power, so to supply our 5 metal refineries the easiest way is to just run heavy watt wire. Here we're building it out of copper ore, as we have plenty of that, but because the heavy watt wire has such a negative decor value, once we have the refineries working we will upgrade this to the heavy watt conductive wire made out of gold to reduce the negative by 50%. We will eventually do that to all of the heavy watt wire used in here, because all of these industrial machines are an eyesore apparently. To counteract this negative decor value, we will have to upgrade the main base. We'll carpet the area and also get a decorator in and create some statues just to make it a nice living area. Having so few duplicates on this colony is another bottleneck. I didn't want to expand rapidly and not be able to support all the duplicates until I'd transferred over to renewable resources. Looking at how many cycles it's taken me to get here and how much I've actually done, I do feel I've been too frugal with the hiring of duplicates. I'm still on the lookout for a decent rocketry pilot and also a decorator. The gym that I built is paying dividends at the moment because nearly all my duplicates have got an athletics of 14. With all the build commands being outside of the colony now, it's important that they're all in their atmospheric suits. These symbols here are denoting that I've run out of gold. I didn't mean to build this pipe out of gold, I meant to build it out of copper, but things happen. It will take me some time to realise that it's a gold warning, not a copper warning. Here I am running out of igneous rocks. It takes a little bit of shuffling around to get this sorted out. I send igneous rock from my other colony and I start deleting things that have been built with igneous rocks and transfer it to another element. The coolant for my metal refineries is going to be petroleum. I'll make an absolute pig's ear out of this. I managed to spill petroleum everywhere and have to mop it all up. Obviously playing late at night bridging onto systems is for the weak. Once these refineries are filled up, I'm going to activate the plastic presses because they will sit in a pool of water and don't need any gases to cool them down. Well, not for the short time they'll be running without the coolant system working. I'll also need the plastic to build steam turbines. It will also be a useful upgrade in my base to build the ladders out of plastic to improve their speed. I'll also eventually upgrade the ladders in here to plastic as well. Yep, spill that petroleum everywhere. We have the plastic presses hooked up with petroleum. We just need to sort out their waste products, which is carbon dioxide. So we're going to pipe that to the back wall and then down below the industrial brick. We'll be able to use this carbon dioxide as a renewable resource later on. I pretty much hate this little section here. The design decision that led to this was just a late at night thing. Not sure if I'll change it or not though. While the carbon dioxide waste is being sorted out, we will fill up this steam room with some water. Normally I'm not building the industrial brick in a vacuum, so I use the two liquids into the steam room to get rid of all the air. And as it's late at night, I'm doing this by rote. I did the two liquids option again, even though I didn't need to because I'm building in a vacuum. My most abundant water source at the moment is the salt coming from the geyser, so I'm going to fill it up with salt water to start off with. While we have the steam room being filled up with the cold water, we will sort out the permanent piping for the polymer presses. Say that fast. The petroleum is being shipped in from the other colony. We'll want a short run between the polymer presses and the matter transporter. And obviously the petroleum can be used for power generation, so it'll be passing through our power brick, which we're going to build below the industrial brick. So it makes sense for it to follow the line of the power spine. In an unrelated note, while we're back here, we'll recover some of the igneous rocks we used to build the ladder sections out of. Birds and stones, birds and stones. Where my present power generation facilities are at the moment is where the slime biome was, and because it had been off-gassing, it has overpressured the standard vents, so I'm going to have to replace this one with a high pressure vent. It's a good job I've got some plastic, isn't it? We've skipped 2 cycles forward here and it's time to do a little bit of an upgrade on the base. We're going to add some plastic ladders to increase the ascent speed of our duplicants. Just before I add more water to the steam room, I'm just casually filling up the water pump for the research that I'm doing. The water that I'm adding to the steam room is at room temperature. Unfortunately, the brine is at minus 10 degrees Celsius, so all the water that I'm adding is turning directly into ice. So I'm actually guessing how much water I've actually added to the steam room because I don't want it to overpressure. And here's me getting the epiphany that I'm building this in a vacuum, so I don't need to have these spots open to get rid of any gases. Normally when building the steam room you have a problem with little bits of carbon dioxide and oxygen just getting stuck on one tile and having to dig it out. But it seems to be a benefit I've overlooked during this build. And here we are finishing off our cooling loop. You'll notice that we haven't bridged onto the system because we want to add enough water to start filling up the liquid reservoir slightly. And that's the cooling loop filled up. I added far more water to the liquid reservoir than I expected to, but hey, what are you going to do? Now we've got the refineries working, we can get rid of the extra piping that we no longer need without spilling petroleum everywhere again. We then replace the standard pipes with the ceramic insulated pipes that we've been using, and that's the metal refineries completed until later on when we decide to add some automation. And here we are at the final stretch. I decided to pressurise the steam turbine room with hydrogen. This gives me the best possible conductivity between the gas and the machinery itself. The main room in the industrial brick I'll be pressurising with oxygen to about 20 kilograms per square. It's slightly worse than hydrogen, but I'll be able to pressurise it higher so it'll have a better thermal mass. And here we have the industrial brick with the cooling system fully online. I did make a silly error, I forgot to seal up the back wall. But as you can see from the temperature overlay, everything is working and is nice and cool. This is the industrial brick's temperature after about 30 cycles of continuous use, with the left hand metal refiner being on steel production and all the others being on copper. I'm pleased with this build. The only thing I did differently this time was the way I circulated the coolant. Normally I go through the steam generators first and then cool the rest of the brick, and this time I've cooled the brick and then finished off with the steam generators. After the duplicates' hard work creating the industrial brick, time to reward them with some plush pile carpet to scrunch their toes in their bedrooms and great hall. We can also upgrade the major ladder section in the industrial brick to plastic as well. We'll upgrade this short section of the main ladder. I'm guessing this segment will be highly used in the next episode when we build our power brick. In the next episode, the idea is to rip out this old power generation ghetto setup and create a fully fledged, all singing, all dancing power brick. I want to be able to integrate all the power supplies I have available to me and also use all the waste products to feed some slicksters, which will remove my need for igneous rock to supply my stone hatches. I might even need to go to the sandbox to design this power brick. I do want to make it as efficient as possible. And you can see my very dangerous radioactive research setup. I'm going to use the excess water that is being produced by this desalinator and feed that water to the oil wells in the other base. So I'm going to use a liquid bridge to control the overflow and feed that directly into a valve to control the amount that flows into the other base. This setup will assure that I'm not draining all the water out of my self-powered oxygen maker. There are two other sources of water on this asteroid that I haven't tapped into yet, the cool steam vent and the polluted water vent. The reason I'm going to be siphoning water out of the spawn is because it's going to be quick and easy and it's very close. and I have to build a minimum of infrastructure to get it to work. I jumped to the other colony to check out the oil wells because I can't remember off the top of my head how much water input they need. So I start looking at the properties tab and then I remember that it's 1 kilogram a second. Initially I set the valve to 5 kilograms a second because I want to build up a head of water. I can monitor how much water is being extracted over the next few cycles and then knock it back down to 2 kilograms if necessary. And there we are, starting to siphon off the excess water from the desalinator. And there's the water now feeding the oil wells. So we can make sure that the refinery is switched on and then we can start shipping petroleum to the other base. Using an oil refinery is quite duplicate intensive, which is something I'd like to sort out very soon. So it's on the to-do list, but near the top. The wastewater from our natural gas generators is being shipped off to the water sieves behind the toilets, and that clean water is sent back into the system to produce more oil and natural gas, and so the cycle is complete. I didn't realise how close I was running this desalinator to the edge. The salt water leaves the vent at minus 10 degrees Celsius. Once it's passed through the heat exchanger in the SPOM and then the metal plate below the desalinator, it enters the machine at minus 0.8 degrees Celsius, and it leaves the desalinator at a positively balmy 0.7 degrees Celsius. I'm going to do a little bit of prep work for the next episode. I'm going to add another power transformer at the edge of the industrial brick to power some of the main base. That's very much a case of one less cable to untangle down there. A benefit of having the power transporter just here is it's a shorter run for the cable as well. So we'll remove the old cabling and the transformer. Oh, look what happened. There's a surprise. Somebody's vacuumed out the area that I'd accidentally leaked oxygen into. And seeing as I'm here, I need a vacuum, I might as well fix the horrible junction plates. Okay, let's get this job done quickly. One last build order for the duplicates this episode. We'll build some batteries. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.